Hey everyone, it's Commander Ship, Editor-in-Chief for Nerd Union, and it's been a little bit. We've talked a few things on the page about what's been going on behind the scenes, and I figured we'd probably owe you an explanation of why we haven't been putting out live shows so much. So, the first thing is, you may notice my background's a little different than normal. You don't see all the games displayed. It's because I bought a house in March. And while that process was pretty cool, there's still some things where I wanted to set up the studio where we would be newly shooting Nerd Union videos live, and we ran into a little bit of a snag. I think I talked before I was going to show you some videos of what the before and after is going to be. There's still some work happening there, and it's going to be a little bit longer before we'll be able to be in that space. So I think it is going to be really cool. It'll be worth the time, and I appreciate everyone that's supported just direction and ideas on that. But for right now, it does mean that the space that we're going to use to shoot is just not ready. There's some places I have strategically set up in the house, though, that we'll be using going forward. So that is, as an excuse, is eliminated. But on top of it, we had been streaming live the StateNerd Union shows and the collection of shows for a year straight, going pretty strong. But the break was needed. I'd be lying if I said the break wasn't needed. So we're going to be getting back with that. I wasn't the only one that moved. I'll let Jerry tell a little bit more of his story, but him and his wife Jen and their family moved out to Austin, Texas. So we've also had another team member that was in transition, had a lot going on. Jerry edits the videos and breaks them down into shorter clips. So without him, it would also be hard to keep doing the long form content and not have that broken down to the smaller clips, which helps us track on social media. So that's a big deal. Jerry's just now kind of getting back into the swing of things, as am I. Taryn also was going through finals in May. It's still in school, so we're having to balance that. We appreciate all the research and work that Taryn does into all of these videos, because the way we report and the way everyone's been working part-time in its volunteer capacity just means that without Taryn's research, we'd be screwed. There's just no way we could do it. And then our whole crew of writers has been in various things. So we're slowly but surely getting back together. You've seen a couple of reviews come out, like Jurassic World Dominion from Colin. I've been trying to catch up on Westworld, so I've got 2 episodes out. The season finale just came out, and I'll talk about that soon and have that out on the site. So we're getting caught up on there, but that's just generally again, because of the rate of which we work and the speed, it just, whenever life things happen, those have to take priority. But something that could help us out going forward and into the future, and this is not me asking you for money per se. I want to be clear, especially after we have not produced content in a while. But what I would like to do is kind of lay out a roadmap for what's coming up next and ways you can help support. So obviously we have our Patreon page, and I say obviously, but it's something that we should talk about more. Because we really would like to produce, there's some essays and some great content that we'd love to create, but it takes time, commitment, and funds obviously help when we can pay people to edit, pay people to write the articles that have been coming out and stuff on the site. So what we're going to try to do for the end of the year is actually deliver on a lot of the things that we said we're going to deliver on, and just see how much we can get done throughout the year. If you like what you see, support us. If you don't, I understand, just the view and the share and stuff like that would be helpful. But if you really do like what we do, signing up for a Patreon really would help us do that. And it helps us pay the folks that are putting hard work into the research. When I think about Logan's really cool series of American Horror Stories, and they got some other horror compilations that have come out in the last couple months that have been really cool. And we're definitely going to hit those up hard in October, because I think it's really valuable information. And they got another article idea that I think is really cool, an exploration of sexuality in horror films. Just one aspect though, so that could definitely balloon into something more. But I'm really excited about that. So basically, I'm just trying to prime you for what I think is what we want to have happen. This is not saying go rush and sign up for the Patreon right now. Of course, if you want to, I'm not going to say no. But basically, I just want to explain what's happened and give you some more tidbits. So, State and the Nerd Union. It's not going to be on Mondays anymore. We're going to move it to Friday. It already was sort of a recap show anyway, and with all the work Taryn was doing throughout the week, with her doing a rundown on Friday, rundown almost feels better like a daily show, or a daily snapshot of what's happened, or quick news bites. Could be 3 minutes or less, maybe up to 10 minutes and stuff like that. So just that would give Taryn the flexibility to talk about what they want when the rundown happens, and then the State of Nerd Union can be the catch-all at the end of the week. Because we already did that on Monday anyway. Monday was us almost just trying to catch up from the previous week. It just makes more sense that we shift that to Friday. And that way, Taryn also is not doing the catch-up. As she's working on her research and is reporting on those things, it should really help us drive what's going to happen on state, which is what we were doing. Just the positions didn't really make sense. So those are coming back. You'll see a lot more of Taryn. So it won't be like a one-day show. We'll just shoot the rundown when it makes sense, when we have enough content for that day to talk about, and just kind of shift like what makes more sense for state and so on and so forth. The Commander Ship Show is sort of going away, but it's not. So you may have heard me talk before that when it comes to film, TV, and movies, okay, is that I didn't want it to just be under me, because we have Colin and Logan doing fantastic things, and Daniel Shannon's been jumping back in. He used to write with me for a long time ago, but it's been cool having him come back in. Tom's been my co-host on that show for a long, or at least on Commander Ship for a long time. And just other friends like Songdi, Oliver, Ollie, and Vartan to kind of pop in as guest hosts. But I didn't like that being centered on me. This is not saying I think the Commander Ship Show as a variety thing is a bad idea. And that's why I said it's not completely going away. I'm going to kind of take that a little bit more under my personal brand. We might cross-post that show. But that will be an opportunity for me to talk about a whole host of other topics that don't really fit our Nerd Union. If I get into politics, I get into black social issues, I want to talk about dance. That will let me or sports. I want to talk about WNBA a lot. But that's not always going to really fit on Nerd Union. There might be some videos that fit really well on Nerd Union, but I just don't think all of that's going to fit well. And I definitely don't want to keep blasting that out, especially if I do that on a daily basis. That's not going to feel great. So that'll be a little bit more on my own channels. You can definitely check those out. I'll throw a link tree for folks that are interested. So what does that mean for film and TV? So we have a new title, Content Not Found. With the idea being that there's so much content out there that we're missing it. Even as a reviewer, and me making this as my part-time job, and even talking to other reviewers who are able to do this as a full-time job, there's so much out there that's not getting covered. And that play on words title is the idea that like we're not finding, there's so much that's not being found, so much that's not being talked about. So there may be reviews that we do that are spot on the day that they come out, or there might be some where we wait until the hoopla has kind of simmered down to kind of give it the analysis that it really needs. Because when's the last time you got to read or think back on, I don't know, let's say the recent Star Wars trilogy. Yeah, we kind of all had our thoughts on it and then moved on. But I still think there could probably be some really valuable conversations that come out of that trilogy. You just kind of pick some film series or even some one-shots that kind of came out, and we have the news cycle on it, and then we move on. And I think if we're going to continue to produce art and talk about it in such a quick manner, that's not really serving us well for the next thing that comes out. Or especially when people are trying to compare and analyze, or they're wondering why is this trend happening. I think if we take a little bit of a longer look at some things, those answers will be more apparent, and we'll definitely be able to tackle them a lot better going forward. Got a little unfocused there. So yeah, that's what the idea of Content Not Found. There will still be the Tuesday show. So the Tuesday show will be live. We'll talk about the box office results, things that have happened news-wise in movies and film. But the rest of Content Not Found will be pre-recorded content that may come out on the podcast, come out on YouTube, different shorts and things like that, which would be could be a review, could be a throwback review where we just kind of go back to look at something. There's definitely a series of movies from the film festival in Chicago last year that I started working through and couldn't get through all of them. And there's some that I just want to take a look back on, just to give us, one, just from a life perspective, time to digest and look at these things, and then also just give us a deeper look. And that whole banner, even though it's still under Nerd Union, you can effectively just search content not found and hopefully find any piece of content we have regarding film and TV, articles we've written on it, videos we've shot about it, podcast episodes, and so on and so forth. So when you see that channel pop up under Nerd Union banner, think everything film and TV underneath content not found. And really like the banner we created for it. It's really nice. So that will be hopefully starting this week. Yeah, so a little bit tease for that. So hopefully myself, Daniel Shannon, and Tom the Girl will be starting the first news talk for that tomorrow and have that released, and hope y'all can join us and enjoy it. So that's what's going on there. StateNerd Union, we talked about that. Red Shirt Rejects, probably going to be on hiatus for a bit. Kyle and Trevor, life-wise, are just kind of all over the place. So just can't really commit to continue doing that. We'll see when the next, because Strange New Worlds just wrapped up. Me and Kyle are going to Star Trek, the Las Vegas convention, so we may have some reporting there for you and talk about things that we saw there. So we'll let you know about that. But the regular Red Shirt Reject show, probably on hiatus for a bit. I'll give you updates on that. Super Blurred Variety Hour. Not going to continue to be a live show, but as a segment, I think that's really something that I should continue. So that will just be whenever we have a new topic, we write a script out and shoot it and film it. That will be will be when that release. So it'll probably at least be one every month. There might be more just depending on what goes on, but not a regular show coming out anymore. And we'll see if that needs to stay with Nerd Union or maybe take that to the Commandership show and bring it something under that. But we'll let you know. But again, not something that I want to go away. And yeah, that's effectively it. So that gives you an update on current shows we've been doing. There's definitely some other ones we'd love to do in the pipe, but really what we need is support either from just folks that want to help and work with us, like either helping us get like board game reviews back out there, just more video. We have really not been able to do a lot of video game coverage in a bit, and there's been some developments, so we should definitely talk about that. So that would be, if you're wanting to work with us, those would be things we really would love your support on. Either you just financially through Patreon, or if you have an interest in writing these things. This is very much a fan-driven website. And I say that and people think, oh, you mean like how we interact with folks? I mean, no. These are, like, most of the folks that have come and worked with Nerd Union are fans in a particular field. And they've come in to do a thing that they really want to talk about. Even in the earliest days, we had a variety of different things. There was some wrestling content. Zach Nichols, the Wild Turkey himself, did more comic reviews. Him and Kyle did that as well. We had a little bit of political spirit there for a little bit. Even some short stories. You had like Short Story Thursday and stuff like that. Those would be things that'd be really cool to bring back. But I loved that fan aspect, that we could work together. So there may be the all-time editors and folks that are constantly running and managing the site, but the ability for other folks to post things that they found interesting, would love to bring that back. So yeah, I think it's something we emphasized in the past, and I think it's the thing that makes us different, and it's the thing that we should get back into. So if you like that, if you like when people do that, they contributed to the site in that way. That has been the backbone of the site, and we're going to find ways to get ourselves back into it. So, one thing I didn't mention, screenings. So we had stopped the screenings because as people started getting more and more back into the world, I just found it harder to find times online to do those. Like, when can we get everyone together to sit down and watch movies together, when really during the pandemic that was a lot easier to do. But that doesn't mean that Elder Millennial Club or our special Patreon screenings are going away. We just have to find some new times to do them. I know that I personally, my weekends are getting more and more blocked off from having to travel again for dance. So we're going to try and find a regular time, maybe even the first of the month, just a window of time where we can do that. Or we may default back to sort of the method we would do for the Quorum, which was our weekly TV watch, where you watched it on your own, and then we would find a time to chat about it, which might be easier for some folks than trying to sit down and block out 2 hours. It might be easier if you're like, hey, for an hour we'll be on in this space on Twitter or on the Discord channel to talk about this movie. So you know ahead of time, this week is what we're watching. Find the time to watch it. Here's the places where you can stream it, and then join us for the chat that way. So that may be what we do. Still working it out. I'm about to put some polls out on Patreon and on the Facebook discussion group for Elder Millennial Club. So I think if you follow that, just give us your insights. Again, we know schedule-wise things are getting. I don't want to say things are back to normal, but at least effectively, a lot of people are having to work almost as if they are. So we have to at least understand that reality is what a lot of people are facing. So yeah, I liked those times. I've really missed quorum. Also, I just schedule-wise, that got incredibly hard, got incredibly difficult. So yeah, hope you all appreciate the work that's going on behind the scenes. Really would love your continued support. Thanks for the folks that have been there for us throughout the years and continue to be with us throughout the years. So yeah, super excited for what's happening. And this is Commander Ship signing off.